This is Wi-Fi Meshti 3, a channel for wisdom along with educational spirit. The channel may impact your life in matter of peace of mind, self-conduct, leadership, financial freedom, social integration, capacity development, confidence, self-esteem, and increase hope for your future. So please click on subscribe, like, and share this video. Today be prepared to listen to wisdom from Diogenes, a Greek philosopher. Before starting, there are some abbreviations we will use I would like to clarify. Those abbreviations are the following: BC, AD, BCE, and CE. BC and BCE both refer to years before the birth of Jesus Christ, and AD and CE both refers to years after the birth of Christ. As said above, BC directly referencing before Christ, AD from a Latin phrase Anno Domini, meaning in the year of the Lord. And to be more secular and inclusive, actually some use CE, which stands for Common Era. It refers to the same years as AD does. And BCE, which stands for before Common Era, it refers to the same year as BC. Diogenes, also called Diogenes of Sinope, was a Greek philosopher and one of the founders of the Cynic philosophy, a Greek philosophical sect that stressed stoic self-sufficiency and the rejection of luxury. He was born in Sinope, an Ionian colony on the Black Sea coast of Anatolia in 412 or 404 BCE, and died at Corinth in 323 BCE. Diogenes shared Socrates' belief that he could function as doctor to men's souls and improve them morally. Diogenes shared his love of virtue and indifference to wealth with other philosophers such as Antisthenes, Socrates, and so on. Diogenes was a controversial figure. He was banished and fled from Sinope over debasement of currency. He was the son of the mint master of Sinope. His father was a banker, and there is some debate as to whether it was he, his father, or both who had debased the Sinopean currency. After his hasty departure from Sinope, he moved to Athens, where he proceeded to criticize many conventions of Athens of that day. There are many tales about him following Antisthenes and becoming his faithful hound. Diogenes was captured by pirates and sold into slavery, eventually settling in Corinth. There, he passed his philosophy of cynicism to Crates, who taught it to Zeno of Citium, who fashioned it into the school of Stoicism, one of the most enduring schools of Greek philosophy. Diogenes made a virtue of poverty. He begged for a living and often slept in a large ceramic jar or pithos in the marketplace. He used his simple lifestyle and behavior to criticize the social values and institutions of what he saw as a corrupt, confused society. I repeat, Diogenes used his simple lifestyle and behavior to criticize the social values and institutions of what he saw as a corrupt, confused society. He had a reputation for sleeping and eating wherever he chose in a highly non-traditional fashion and took to toughening himself against nature. He declared himself a cosmopolitan and a citizen of the world, rather than claiming allegiance to just one place. He became notorious for his philosophical stunts, such as carrying a lamp during the day, claiming to be looking for a man, often rendered in English as looking for an honest man, as Diogenes viewed the people around him as dishonest and irrational. He criticized Plato, disputed his interpretation of Socrates, and sabotaged his lectures, sometimes distracting listeners by bringing food and eating during the discussions. Diogenes was also noted for having mocked Alexander the Great, both in public and to his face when he visited Corinth in 336 before Christ. Diogenes shared Socrates' belief that he could function as doctor to men's souls and improve them morally. Now let us listen his wisdom. You will become a teacher of yourself when for the same things that you blame others, you also blame yourself. We have 2 ears and 1 tongue so that we would listen more and talk less. It takes a wise man to discover a wise man. As a matter of self-preservation, a man needs good friends or ardent enemies, for the former instruct him and the latter take him to task. Even if I am but a pretender to wisdom, that in itself is a philosophy. It is the privilege of the gods to want nothing, and of godlike men to want little. He has the most who is most content with the least. I pissed on the man who called me a dog. Why was he so surprised? People who talk well but do nothing are like musical instruments. The sound is all they have to offer. Of what use is a philosopher who doesn't hurt anybody's feelings? In a rich man's house, there is no place to spit but his face. We have 2 ears and 1 tongue so that we would listen more and talk less. We come into the world alone and we die alone. Why in life should we be any less alone? It is not that I'm mad, it is only that my head is different from yours. One original thought is worth 1,000 mindless quotings. Education gives sobriety the young, comfort to the old, riches to the poor, and is an ornament to the rich. If you are to be kept right, you must possess either good friends or red-hot enemies. The one will warn you, the other will expose you. The foundation of every state is the education of its youth people. Who talk well but do nothing are like musical instruments. The sound is all they have to offer. I am not an Athenian or a Greek, but a citizen of the world. You will become a teacher of yourself when, for the same things that you blame others, you also blame yourself. I know nothing except the fact of my ignorance. The foundation of every state is the education of its youth. We have 2 ears and 1 tongue so that we would listen more and talk less. I have nothing to ask but that you would remove to the other side, that you may not, by intercepting the sunshine, take from me what you cannot give. It takes a wise man to discover a wise man. As a matter of self-preservation, a man needs good friends or ardent enemies, for the former instruct him and the latter take him to task. The health and vigor necessary for the practice of what is good depend equally on both mind and body. Even if I am but a pretender to wisdom, that in itself is philosophy. It is the privilege of the gods to want nothing, and of godlike men to want little. He has the most who is most content with the least. Wise leaders generally have wise counselors. Virtue cannot dwell with wealth either in a city or in a house. Even if I am but a pretender to wisdom, that in itself is philosophy. It is the privilege of the gods to want nothing, and of godlike men to want little. If I lack awareness, then why should I care what happens to me when I am dead? If you are to be kept right, you must possess either good friends or red-hot enemies. The one will warn you, the other will expose you. Why not whip the teacher when the pupil misbehaves? The mob is the mother of tyrants. Education is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. Once he saw the officials of a temple leading away someone who had stolen a bowl belonging to the treasurers and said, "The great thieves are leading away the little thief." The vine bears 3 kinds of grapes. The first of pleasure, the second of intoxication, the third of disgust. We are more curious about the meaning of dreams than about things we see when awake. Those who have virtue always in their mouths and neglect it in practice are like a harp which emits a sound pleasing to others, while itself is insensible of the music. To one who asked what was the proper time for lunch, he said, "If a rich man when you will, if a poor man when you can." When someone reminded him that the people of Sinope had sentenced him to exile, he said, "And I sentenced them to stay at home." When Alexander the Great, the most powerful man in the world at that time, visited him and asked him whatever he wanted, Diogenes asked him to move his shadow away as he was blocking the sun. Now we are at the end. Thank you for listening, and stay in touch with Wisdom and Meditation program. See you soon in this relaxing program. Once again, thank you. Next lessons with Pythagoras, a Greek philosopher and polymath. Don't try to cover your mistakes with false words. Rather, correct your mistakes with examination. Learn to be silent, let your quit mind listen and absorb. Avoid oppress the weak, the poor, and killing animals. If not, you will finally kill each other, etc. Pythagoras' wisdom will teach us a lot during our next streaming. Make sure every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday, we will always be together in the program called Wisdom, and another one called Wisdom and Meditation. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this video.